Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Pushkar sir, can we start, sir? Thank you, sir. So, first of all, good afternoon to all. On behalf of Institutions Innovation Council of Institute of Engineering and Technology, Lucknow, I, Adibuddin Ahmad, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IET Lucknow, welcomes to all participants, special our faculty members and our respected speaker, Mr. Osama Khan, Dr. Osama Khan, sir. So I just want to say some words for Dr. Osama Khan, sir. He's very experienced faculty. Basically, Dr. Osama Khan is presently working as a assistant professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, and he has completed his PhD in mechanical engineering from Faculty of Engineering and Technology, Jamia Millia Islamia, in year of 2019. His research interests includes biofuels and IC engines, and he has published around more than 50 research articles in international journals and conferences, and he has 5 patents granted on his name, among which 2 are international patents. So overall, we can say that he is very suitable and very highly experienced faculty, experienced technical person, technical resource, you can say, for us. So without any delay, I would like to request Dr. Osama Khan sir to start his presentation to share his valuable knowledge with us. We welcome to Dr. Osama Khan sir. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Arif. That was a very nice introduction, and I hope my voice is audible to
Yes, sir.
everyone.
It is audible.
I'll just switch on my camera also so that I can be visible at the same time.
Thank you, sir.
So I welcome all of you to this wonderful program that you guys have arranged, and I think whatever knowledge I've gained over the years, if I could just impart it to you guys, then it would be very beneficial to not only to you but also to the other students who you interact with. Without not wasting much time, I would directly go into my presentation, which I have prepared and which I need to take. So I'll just be presenting my entire screen in a bit. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this basically I want to start from the beginning only. This wonderful idea was basically Mr. Adeep called me up and he asked me for a suitable time, and I was more than happy because as soon as he told me the topic that is on innovation culture and renewable energy field, I think this is something that has to be explored, and it is very seldomly explored in the past few years. And renewable energy is one such field which I really feel that will take a lot of leaps in coming years. And if we know how to innovate, if we know what are the prospects on which we can work on, basically, it's very important for us to know what are the future prospects, what things can we work on will really benefit us, and would be very beneficial to understand the dynamics of what our country is basically moving towards. So this is an online workshop, which is basically my topic is innovation culture in renewable energy field. And I'm going to move on to the agendas for today's discussion. So as you all know, today's discussion agenda would be basically on innovation. That is the case in renewable energy. Then we'll be seeing what are the pathways or what are the future prospects which we can consider, and which we can see that how these prospects can be taken up, or how can this become much more beneficial to us. Then innovation in sustainable development field will be taken into much more detail. So I'll directly move on. So innovation, the current field that we are seeing is innovation is it's It is a highly important thing. It's highly essential. It has to be needed to tackle the current energy challenges. You can counter me by saying, why not innovate in something that is beneficial to the human beings, but it is not beneficial to the environment? But that doesn't make sense. Why? Because if you're making something that is beneficial for the human being, but not beneficial for the environment, then you're degrading the environment. In the long term, you're degrading the environment for the human beings only. So let me start with my presentation. What are the key challenges, key energy challenges, which any innovator has to take into consideration? Is the increased energy consumption. As we all know, population has grown by several folds over the years, especially in our country. The population is growing at a very high rate. Economic development is one thing that needs to be considered. We have limited availability of resources. We are not like countries like Gulf countries, which have ample source of crude oil or conventional forms of energies. So we have to create our own form of energy. Then global warming, the environment that we are harming at the same time by using this conventional source of energy, is somewhat degrading the current environment. So what the world need to do, what we need to do, that is the first thing. First of all, we need to see what are the available resources for us in India. How can we explore those resources? Are they abundantly available? Even if they're available, are they affordable at the same time? And even if they're affordable and abundantly available, do they produce clean energy? That is one thing that has to be needed to taken into consideration. So if you can see, here's a picture that shows the prospects. You can see the large population that has grown. There is hardly any space to walk in areas which we consider to be highly populated. So if the projection that is according that is to a recent study, the projection is that the population will grow by 50%. Whatever population was in year 2000, by 2050, it's going to just get doubled up. So you can see India and China. India has been increasing, and over the years, India's population will increase. I'm not considering other countries because the first thing that we're going to focus is on our own country. So this is something that we have to do, and we have to explore the possible forms of energy that is easily available in our country. Now, this is a very small case that we have to take, and this is a case for in our India only. The wealthiest billionaire, the well, if you if we come if we group all the billionaires together, then the wealthiest billionaires, they consume approximately 50% of the world's energy consumption, while the poorest people only consume 4%. So you can see that there is a very big inequality between the poorer and the rich. They consume a lot of electricity while the poor are deprived of it somewhat or the other. So this is another graph where we have shown that how the economic development and human development are correlated. So you can see that the United States over here is at the top in economic development, in per capita GDP, in income per person, whereas in India is placed somewhat near Ethiopia, or it is placed below China. So this is something that we need to consider. If somewhere or another we can have a good invention, or we can innovate something that may bring India towards the upper side, nearer to at least Germany or US, then we would be achieving our objective. In terms of population, if we speak, then 50% is going to increase, that I've already told you. But at the same time, the energy consumption is also going to grow 100%. So these are some pictures that I want to show you, that how the innovation has helped the entire globe. If you can see the pre-industrial revolution farming in earlier times, when industries were not very much equipped and innovations were not happening at a very fast, rapid pace, then we used to have cattle who used to plow our land. And but on the other side, if we can see the current farming techniques, it has been very modern. You can see tractors are being used simultaneously over here, and that is why these farming methods has grown. The return on investment that we have has grown by several folds. Oil exploration. Now, this is a very important thing. Before talking about oil, there is a very interesting fact that I need to share with you. The oil prices, as we all know, it's skyrocketing. But what is the primary reason behind the skyrocketing? Everybody will say it's the population that has grown by several folds. I agree with you. But in 1970s and 80s, when oil exploration was at its zenith, people were exploring oil all towards the countries, world, South America, Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia. Everyone was trying to explore any possibility of oil. Now, can you tell me why this oil became black gold? There is a term as gold, and now we call oil as black gold. Or why do we call it as black gold? Because it has become so expensive. Apart from that, this oil became so expensive because we had a new innovation, and that innovation was cars. The vehicles needed oil or crude oil to power their resources. So now you're going to ask me, sir, how are you going to correlate this? I'm basically correlating it with this. The cars were basically innovated. That is why oil became so pricey. The cars were innovated. So if you, on the other hand, innovate something that India has available a lot of resources, then that thing will also become very expensive. I'll come to that example again as I go further in my presentation. What India has. If Gulf and other countries have this crude oil, then what does India have that we can explore in coming worlds? That is my point that I'll be coming at the end of my presentation, or maybe just before the end. So if you see the food price index versus the oil price, both have been increasing at a constant rate. The food price index has been increasing, and simultaneously the oil is also increasing. So what is basically shown over here is that both are very closely interrelated with each other. If the oil price increases, the food prices will simultaneously increase. That is quite evident because of the it may be because of the transportation cost or because of the processing cost. All of these costs are interrelated with each other. What is the known reserves of fossil fuel exceed what the atmosphere can handle? Now, basically, what over here I want to explain you is that the impacts of these energies is very bad. CO2, carbon monoxide, sulfur, they are degrading the environment at a rapid pace. You can see the global warming in the picture on your extreme right hand side, that the temperature of the world has been rising by 2 degrees Celsius every day, not every day, every year. Why is that? That is only because of the exceeding environment causes that we have. We are, on the other hand, increasing the environment, the harmful exhaust pollutants that we are issuing is basically degrading the environment. Now, if we break down what are the greenhouse gases, then we can see that what are the prime causes of this greenhouse gases. So we can see that biofuels, nuclear energy, almost all of them, somewhat or the another, they give a very small amount of greenhouse gases as compared to the other aspects also. So the first thing is, efficiency if we achieve efficiency, then what is the thing? We are not going to increase the efficiency of the system, but we are going to simultaneously we are simultaneously going to decrease the greenhouse gases also. Also, we are going to increase the job creations. We'll have more laborers to hire. We'll have more value creation, and at the same time, we will avoid fossil fuels if we are using renewable energy fuels. So if you can see over here, how much is the impact of carbon-free power generation? So approximately, you can see over here that nuclear has in power generation. Then there are other also. Then there is a solar generation. Then we have biofuels generation. All of these generations basically are responsible for different amount of carbon-free amount of generation. So if we use solar energy, we are reducing carbon content by 30%. If we use nuclear energy, we are reducing the carbon content by 19%. If we use rest of the renewable energies, then we are reducing the carbon content by 51%. So this is one trend that we can use, and we can decarbonize it. Then again, the things that comes to our mind is, how are these things possible? These things will be possible as we move on to the next presentation. So electrification, what are the basically the different electrification devices? So if we are using fossil fuels, we do have higher energy. I am not going to disagree on this point. If we use fossil fuels, we do have higher efficiency, but at the same time, we have a higher content of carbon also. And if we use renewable part of energies, what we'll have lower carbon content, and we'll have a cleaner climate to breathe inside it. So if we see the share of electricity in final energy demand, then the electric vehicles and heat pumps consume the maximum amount of electricity in today's world. That is the statistics that was in 2007, but the estimated 2050, we estimate that the 43% of energy will be used in this. Now, grids in another thing that what people are doing is it's not being done in India very widely, but in European nations and in US nations, US states, what it's done is that people basically employ solar panels at the top of their houses. Not only it looks very beautiful because new solar panels have been developed, but at the same time, what it does, it produces electricity. So when solar produces electricity, a part of it is consumed by the house only, and a part of it which is not consumed by the house, it's sent back into the grid. So that is another system that has become very important. So if we do need to consider any future prospect, then we can consider this one as a prospect. We can develop a solar energy device or technique that may help people to install these devices, and not only install them, use it, and simultaneously send it to the grid for others to use it also if they don't have that requisite amount. So there is the transport grids, we have distribution smart grids. All of these techniques can be very implemented towards India, and it is going to be implemented in coming years. So how are we going to distribute this technology? So we are going to distribute this technology into distant systems. So we can have PV generations, we can have small micro wind turbines, we can have pumps for this. Then we should have simultaneously a thermal storage system. We can have batteries, we can have electric mobility, we can have smart meters, standby killers, heat pumps. All of these 9 points are basically some innovation techniques that you can work on, and these innovation techniques which can be modeled into different systems also. So you can work on this, build systems like this, and later on these systems can work into your modern age houses also. So basically, if you can see the cost of rooftop solar PV system. What happened was, when solar was first invented, solar was invented way back, but when solar was used to create electricity, so the cost of producing electricity was somewhat, we can assume, as €5. For producing 1 megawatt of electricity, we required €5. Then in 2007, it became €4.4. Then in 2008, 4.3, and the value kept on decreasing till 2012. It became 1.1. And I'll tell you the latest statistics, which right now in 2022, you only need €1.1 to create 1 megawatt of hour. So can you correlate that how this value has kept on decreasing? Why? Because people were very intelligent, and they kept on innovating. They kept on innovating in this renewable energy technique, and they kept on innovating in this rooftop solar PV system. So after innovation, the prices kept on decreasing. Now currently the price stands at 2022. It stands close to 0.9 to 1.1, and I can guarantee you, in a decade or in 15 years, this price is going to drop drastically. Now this is the time for you to explore options in in solar systems, in solar PV systems. What you can do is, you can't say that, sir, I can't go into a factory and I can't start building PV systems. Don't make PV systems, I'm not telling you, but at least try to make a smart meter. At least try to make a standby killer. Try to make a suitable battery. Try to make a thermal storage system. That is what you can do. It you can innovate something which is clear to solar energy. You can increase the panel's efficiency by innovation, and by doing this, you're going to cut this cost even further. And the best thing is that in coming years, this this crude oil resources will get completely replaced. And after replacing this crude oil resources, we will only be using solar energy. And people who have invested in solar energy, who have invested in this, innovating in this solar energy, are going to produce a lot of money, just because they had this frame of mind and they were working in the correct innovation technology. Now I'll come back to the point which I was talking about: 90s, 70s, and 90s, 80s. People who invested in crude oil, like for example, if somebody would be buying a land in maybe in Gulf, the Gulf was completely a desert. In Saudi Arabia, if someone would be buying land in 1950s or 1940s, he would be called a madman. Why? Because nothing can be cultivated on the land of Saudi Arabia except for cactus. So that is not very useful to us. But if a person who would have bought a land in Saudi Arabia during this oil era, in 1970s, 1980s, that person would have been extremely rich by right now. Why? Because he had the correct frame of mind, sorry, not mind frame, frame of mind, and he knew what were the future prospects. That is what I'm explaining you right now. Try to invest in solar energy right now. By investing, I don't mean invest lakh of rupees in it. No, that is not possible. Try to invest your time in solar energy. And what are the prospects in which you can explore? You can explore by building smart algorithms. You can build smart algorithms for smart meters, which can not only measure the electricity but also save the electricity. Or what you can do is, like, I reside in New Delhi. There is a very big problem over here. Although Kejriwal, our chief minister, he has given us a very good incentive and subsidy that if your monthly bill is below 400 units, your electricity is free. Very good. But how are we going to know that our monthly bill has exceeded 400 units? There is absolutely no system to measure it. What I do is, I go down where my meter has been installed. I go down and I daily take readings over there. What you guys can do is, you can make a smart meter, make a smart algorithm, inbuilt it in the meter, and that meter will give you readings directly in your mobile. So you don't have to go down, and you don't have to constantly keep on reading the readings, sorry. Also, what you can do is that there might be some days which you might not go down or to read the reading meter. So what will happen on that day? On that day, it might exceed 400, and if it exceeds 400, you're going to lose your subsidy. So these are some things. Build smart algorithms to solve these type of problems. Try to develop a problem, try to understand the problem, and then try to solve it. That is basically innovation. Come on. So this is one thing. This is the grid tied solar electric system. I am very bullish on grid type of electric solar system. Why? Because I know that people who have ample space, although we all in Delhi, it's very crowded. Okay, so it's not like in Lucknow. I know Lucknow is very good, but in Delhi it's quite crowded. So I live in a flat. I share my roof with several people. I have convinced them to install solar panels. So what we did, not only we installed solar panels, but the building energy, not our air conditioners and all that can't be sufficed by the solar panel, but the building energy, the motor requirement or the pump requirement, everything is done by the solar panel, and we don't have to pay a single penny for this system, for the monthly electricity bills. So that is how we have made it completely free. You guys can also do the same thing by installing the solar panel, or you can start a consultancy in which you can give the option to the building owners that we can install the solar panels at zero cost. Later on, you can give us some money on a small charges, a small basis. Now, innovation of renewable energy, that is what I wanted to tell you about. Innovation culture is work environment that leaders cultivate in order to nurture unorthodox thinking and its application. What is unorthodox thinking? Why it is unorthodox? Because if you can think about the example I just told you about buying a land in Saudi Arabia, that would have not been feasible if you would have told someone to buy a land in 1940s when oil was not discovered in Saudi Arabia. He would have not bought that land, because he would have bought it in India. Why? Because India is rich in cultivation. India can give you much more better prospects over here. He wouldn't have bought it in Saudi Arabia, but now in Saudi Arabia, the lands are extremely high rated, and no one can buy it except for if you have a very big corpus. Okay, so workplaces that foster a culture of innovation generally subscribe to the belief that innovation is not the province of top leadership, but can come from anyone in the organization. That is what I think IET Lucknow, IC Lucknow has just told us. But when they contacted me, I was very happy because I knew that there are very seldom institutes in our country that are working on innovation, and your institute working on innovation is a very big plus, I guess so, because that institution not only gives you prospects, but it also provides you ideas. Like, for example, I am providing an idea similar to your institution. There is another very top rated institution that is known as the Google. I don't think you guys require any introduction for it. So what Google does, it gives 20% of its time to all of its employees to basically spend their time on whatever they like, on whatever they're working on whatever innovation they're working on. So that is why Google is so famous. That is why everyone wants to work in Google, and that is why Google is generating so much of profits, because it gives freedom to its employees. And if you want to develop that eureka movement, you have to also give yourself a special amount of time. Eureka means it's basically a phrase which all these scientists develop. As soon as any scientist makes any invention, or that invention is good enough for all the people, he says eureka. That is the eureka moment. I hope every one of you gets it in your future. What are the future practices? The background, please don't get diverted by the background, by this picture and selfies that people are clicking. But yes, this is what our current generation is going towards. It's on clicking selfies and making TikToks, and that is why I think our workforce was deteriorated over the time. Rather than clicking selfies and making TikToks, I think you should really work with renewable energy. You should strive in making a technology that can be beneficial not only to you, as you can open a company on it, but it can be beneficial simultaneously to the mankind also. So that is what I feel. Elon Musk, I think, is someone I'm very inspired with. He is a person who has worked very nicely. Not only he has built a very large corpus for himself so that he can relax for the rest of his life, but he has also given something back to the world also, because he has built electric vehicles that have been very much implemented all over the world by the Tesla model, I guess so. So we have to embrace this digital economy that is we are working on, and this digitalization also has to become very implemented in our country also. What are the future practices? We have to basically establish an innovation lab where all the people can come up with their ideas, and that ideas can be explored or we can work on it. Creating an innovation lab services many purposes, like one happy byproduct of such a lab is renewed collaboration between IT and business. So IT and business also, if you guys can see, there was computers were very much developed in 90s, but suddenly there was a dot-com bubble. Everything crashed in 2008. Everything crashed. Everyone told that IT is going to be finished. There is no more IT, but you can still see that computer engineering or computer students are very much in demand. And that is why I think IT and business models or renewable energy also has to be implemented with IT only. We can also simultaneously give a reward experimentation. If you build something very nice, then I think governments or your institution should provide you that surplus rewards that can help you more. Then we have to sustain that innovation. That comes back in innovation only. Okay, now what are the societal benefits of it? Like I'm very much focused on building devices that not only provide the societies with the benefits, but also simultaneously is beneficial to the environment also. So what happens was, in a recent study, there was a lot of study. Even I did one study on it. In a recent study, a strong correlation was built between the daily deaths that was reported by COVID-19 and the growing vehicle pollution. So you guys will argue with me, sir. As soon as COVID hit, there was lockdown. So how can pollution increase during that time? Pollution was the lowest in Delhi. I'm going to take the case of Delhi. So how are you correlating this pollution COVID-19 death? I am interrelating the lockdown after the lockdown period. After lockdown, what happened was cars, bikes, buses, everything started. Transportation got normal. That is why the second and the third lockdown were imposed. Why? Because the pollution levels grew by several folds, and this pollution exhaust emission, they have a property. They combine with this COVID-19 virus, and when pollution levels combine with COVID-19 virus, it spreads more rapidly. So that is why the second and the third lockdown came into different countries. Then, considering the above crisis, we checked the AQI index also. The AQI was very bad, and that is why, especially in countries which had high population. So in countries which had a high population, what happened was the transportation got very bad, pollution got very bad. The people started coming out, and they started contradicting this virus among each other, and that was the primary reason. That's why we saw the third and the second lockdown being imposed, especially in our country, also in European nations also. By using these renewable energies, we can at least lower the global energy demand. We can increase the energy efficiency. Innovation in renewable sources will grow, and renewable energy at the right rate and at the right time. So, due to the change of environment's nature, the desired lifestyle, and inability of the resources, we have moved towards innovating renewable energy, because that renewable energy will give us possible resources that will somewhat save the environment. Now, here comes a potential startup idea. What can you do? People will ask me, sir, yeah, all of this, what you have discussed is very good, but what is the potential ideas which we can which we can work on, or which we can develop? So these are some very good ideas that I've listed down, because I know these type of ideas will get a lot of appreciation. We can build a hydrogen processing system that converts hydrogen reservoirs into thermal generator. Hydrogen is also a very popular fuel that has been shaping up as one of the prime constituents to produce energy. So hydrogen processing can be used. You can use hydrogen to produce heat, and that heat can be stored in thermal generators, and later on that heat can be used to produce electricity. This will reduce harmful pollutants and also provide you a cleaner renewable energy with a good income also. You can also use this second technology is what I personally love. I'm going to explore it in the future. I'm going to explore this. You can start a startup which takes lithium ion batteries, and this lithium ion batteries, you can recycle it and then recycle it to produce more energy, and then you can build a good heat system from it also. uh, Scientists, now this is something, the third point I'm going to develop, I'm going to just tell you about this. This is in just the preliminary phase. It is not very developed, but what scientists have done is they have installed small panel type in their houses, and that what that panel does is it harvests indoor light. Whatever light is falling into your house, it harvests the indoor light and generates energy with it, and that energy can be used to power low power appliances can be used to use electricity for it. Then we can use technology that converts biomass. This is something that can be used in India. We can create a technology that uses waste biomass and converts negative charcoal that can be used to generate energy. Last and the final point, I personally love this point because I am working on it. I have filed a patent on it, and I hope so I get the required amount from the government also. I have filed it for DRDO also. The methane hydrate absorption from ocean. What basically happens is, basically this is my last slide. I'm not going to bore you further, but before completing my presentation for today, I'm going to start with another one, a very small story. Okay, This is something I think everyone would be very much interested about. I just want to confirm once more: is my voice audible?
Yes, I will.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm it. I'm just going to finish it very quickly because I know there will be question and answer round also. So basically, what I got was recently I've been reading a lot of articles, and in that articles I've been reading that that plane crashed and that plane crashed, that ship sunk into the ocean in Bermuda Triangle. Ships are sinking. Then there was a recent Malaysian Airlines flight. Yes, there was a Malaysian Airlines flight. It got disappeared in mid-ocean. Nobody had a valid explanation for it. That why are these aeroplanes disappearing in mid-air? Why are these ships basically sinking in mid-ocean? Nobody has any explanation for it. Some people said that no, aliens are there. Aliens have been coming and they have been absorbing. They are taking it to their planet and all. There were vague theories regarding this. But what was the most possible theory that came out? That came out was methane hydrate. What methane hydrate does is actually there are methane hydrate volcanoes at the bottom of the ocean. So there is randomly, volcanoes can just erupt randomly. So what happens is these volcanoes at the bottom of the ocean, they just erupt. And when they erupt, they don't erupt with lava, they emit methane hydrate. This methane hydrate, first it gets accumulated at the top of the ocean, and then it comes on to the surface, that it comes onto the atmosphere. Now, how am I correlating it with sunken ships and disappearing of aeroplanes? I'll tell you why. Because when methane hydrate gets dissolved into the water, what happens is the density of the water changes. And when the density of the water changes, ships start sinking into the ocean. And at one point of time, it gets completely sunk and it gets the Titanic one. It happens just like Titanic. So that is the first thing that happens. The second prospect is in aeroplanes, what happens is this methane hydrate has a very high calorific value. Now, because of that high calorific value, it gets accumulated in the engines of the aeroplane. And when it gets accumulated within the aeroplane engines, that explodes like a cavitation, like a bubble. It explodes. And when it starts exploding, it basically explodes like a huge bomb. So that explodes the aeroplane, and suddenly in a matter of few minutes the aeroplane just goes down. That is why this is the reason, that's why the aeroplanes have been disappearing. Now you are going to say, sir, this is some theory that you're randomly telling. You no, I'm not randomly telling. I have filed a patent on it and I have some good facts regarding this. This is the same reason why people were saying that don't enter the Bermuda Triangle region, that is very dangerous. Bermuda Triangle also has a very, very high methane hydrate concentration. Now, the point comes here. Why am I discussing this point with you? I am discussing this point with you is this because India has a large resource of methane hydrate. Along the coast of India, there is large amounts of methane hydrate, and that methane hydrate can be absorbed. If we absorb this methane hydrate in a form of stones, in the form of packets, what happens is we can transport this methane hydrate into a power plant. That power plant will burn this methane hydrate and produce its electricity. You don't need crude oil or diesel to burn and produce electricity. You can replace this crude oil and diesel with methane hydrate to produce the required amount of electricity. So this is one probable cause that you can work on. You can develop technologies to absorb this methane hydrate from the ocean, since these oceans are extremely volatile. So it's quite difficult for you to go over there and take out methane hydrate. So that is why you can employ drones for it. You can employ drones to employ methane to absorb this methane hydrate. And if you work properly in this methane hydrate domain, then you can also get good opportunities from US, because US is also working on methane hydrate, but still they don't have any technology regarding it. So this is where I end my presentation, my PPT. I would be more than glad and happy if you have any doubts regarding this renewable energy. If you have any prospects you want to ask me, I'll be more than happy and I'll be more than glad. Any doubts, any clarifications, anyone? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for your wonderful presentation and wonderful way to that present your topic. And this is very unique theories, some very unique and some very interesting theories about the Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah.
so that this theory can solve the all the mysterious concept or mysterious problems, and also we can solve the some other problems, because in this world there are some mysteries, and mysteries are related to some another way concept. So that's why your theory and your introspections about the Bermuda Triangle is very interesting. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank
Now I would like to request to our convener, Institution of Innovation Council, Dr. Pushkar Tripathi, sir, for vote of thanks for this wonderful session. Sir. Sir, unmute yourself, sir.
You went. Yeah.
Yes, please, I would like to request to all participants, please switch on your cameras so that we can take a very wonderful, memorable group photograph. Please switch on your cameras, please. I would like to request to all participants. I would like to request, please switch on your cameras, please. Please switch on your camera, please. Thank you so much for your participation, for giving your valuable and precious time to us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Usama sir. Thank you so much to all.
Thank you so much.